Hi, this is Rachelle at Scrapcraftastic, and I received a request asking how to use the printable inserts that are available to Scrapcraftastic patrons. They are dated. How to use these as a notebook or turn them into a notebook. So usually I use the half letter size, and I usually just cut them down the center and punch them to go in my PR planner. Of course, you can do the same process with any size of the inserts. So like I have December here already, all I did was cut in the middle, and then I will punch these and add these in. But instead of cutting, I'm going to show you how to make the notebook. So basically all you do is fold it in half and staple it. So they're already in order. My printer prints duplex, so I don't have to do the manual duplex. When they come out, they're already ready. All I have to do is fold it, bind it, and then I have an insert. So let's do it. Let me show you. So I'm using the horizontal version. They also come as vertical. And it's just 4 pages, so it's really simple to do. And then here. Okay, so you fold it neatly. If you want to cover it, you can put your scrapbook paper cover over it. I don't really want to cover this, and if I were using this in a traveler's notebook, for instance, then I could just use one of my dashboards to cover it. I don't really think I need to. Also, when you're printing it, if you don't mind having one page on cardstock, you could print this first page on cardstock. So it's like dot grid on one side, the title pages on the other side. If you print that on cardstock, then you would automatically have a cardstock cover. So that is also an option. I'm fine with it the way it is. This is 32-pound paper, so it's fairly heavyweight paper, so it's fine. All right, so I'm just going to take some paper clips. I just happen to have these jumbo paper clips from another project that I was working on, and I'll link to that video in the iCard up above if you want to go check it out. All right, so you kind of want to keep somewhat of an angle when you're doing this if you can. You don't want to just lay it flat. It will work if you just lay it flat, but I tried not to do that. Now this can be done with a long arm stapler, but I know not everybody has that. So if you have a stapler that opens up like this, I'm going to show you how to do it with a stapler like this. You will need one that opens though, because you'll need it to be able to reach where to put the staples in. Okay, so I have this piece of, it's not really foam, but I guess it is foam. It's just a heavy duty version. This is actually a garden kneeling pad from Dollar Tree. I cut the handle piece off to put in my to-go craft box. So, but I'm going to use this. You need something cushiony underneath because you're going to be poking the staples straight through. So you don't want it to just go through your desk. Now you can measure this out. I used to be very precise with that because when I was making multiple notebooks, I wanted all my staples to be in the same place. I'm just making one in this instance, so I am not going to stress that. I'm going to eyeball it. Let's turn it this way. And well, I liked it better on the other side. You want to go from the outside in. You need to know where your staple comes out so you can line that up with the fold. If you need to put a mark there, put a mark there with a pencil. I'm going to line it up on the fold where I think the staple's coming out at and press. Okay, I did pretty decent there. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. I'm trying to be about the same distance. Okay, so that is that. You can put one in the middle, but usually one on either end is sufficient. Maybe you might want to do that if you're using a bigger size insert. Then I'm just going to take something tough. You could use your scissors for this. I'm using my bone folder that's got glue on it. So, and then I'm just going to try to keep the staple straight and press that down. Generally a lot better when there's more paper. Not too much more paper, but more paper. So basically you're just closing the staple. Mine is wiggling. There we go. Okay. And you want to press that down really well so you don't snag yourself on it. Then let's do this one. Now you gotta put it on the hard surface. That's probably what the problem was. Yeah. Press, 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 press. That's pretty good. Let's take the paper clips off. And there you go. You got a booklet. Easy peasy. And even if you're not using like a acetate or some type of dashboard to cover your insert, you could still use just regular scrapbook paper and put everything on the elastic and it will be fine. Yeah, so that's it. And then you have an insert. Now this is with 4 pages. I think the standard staples will do up to 8 to 10 pages, I think. Depending on the weight of the paper. The staples, as you can see, had plenty of room. I could have added more pages to this. Now, let's move to this one. This is the Singles 2024 monthly calendar printable insert that is also available to Scrapcraftastic patron elites. All right, so this is 13 pages. I'm not sure that the staple will go through this, and it may, but I'm not sure that the staple will hold it. Let's go ahead and fold the pages and see what we get. While I'm showing you this, let me show you how to get a really nice fold. To get a nice fold, you match one corner to one corner. All right, make sure that lines up. Then you press in the middle, go up and come down. You can do the same thing with the bone folder. Press in the middle, go up and go down. The bone folder will give a much more crisp fold than just using your finger. And sometimes that makes it a little hard when you're binding, when you have that really crisp fold. The fold is nice, but I don't know. I find it more difficult to bind when I have that really sharp crease. So when I'm folding the papers now, I used to use the bone folder, but now I just use my finger to do it. Now I've seen a new binding technique, something that I had thought of before, but I just never tried it, using brads to bind. So you would poke the holes and then put the brads in and open them up. I considered that for this, but I think the brads that I have are even still too tiny for this. So what I think I'm going to do, and I know people don't really do this for planner stuff, but I think I'm going to just stitch it. So I will show you how to stitch. I've done that on the channel before. So let's just do it and see how it goes. And you can fold multiple pages at once. I just like that cleaner look, and I feel like you get better folds doing them one by one. So patience. All right, and I am experiencing some page creep with this. As you can see, because the paper is a heavier weight paper, you see how these pages towards the center, the further we move towards the center, the more the pages protrude. So I could either trim that or just leave it, or when I put a cover on, just make sure that the cover is slightly larger so that it covers that. Since we are stitching this, maybe I'll do a cover. Let's see. So with the page creep, that makes this insert or notebook about, instead of 5.5, it's 5 5/8. So it makes it 1/8 of an inch wider. So I would probably come in with my paper being 5 3/4. Let's see, let me find a suitable paper to cover this. Okay, so I'm going to just use a regular letter size piece of white cardstock because I have ideas that will fix the page creep issue. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold this in half. And then this will be my cover. And I'm doing plain white. That way, if I want to decorate with stickers or whatever I want to put on the cover, I can. And since most of the stickers that I use have the white offset, the white paper would be the best bet for that. So that's what I'm doing. That's my cover, very plain, but I'll come back and spruce it up. All right, so I'm gonna put my clips on again with it still folded at somewhat of an angle. Yeah, I don't think a staple would have worked on that. Let's push that down. All right. So now I want to go in, and this time I'm going to measure. And I'm going to do I don't like to do the 5-hole stitch. This is like my least favorite part of making notebooks and journals, is doing the stitching. It's not that it's hard, it's just, I don't know, I don't like to do it. So I'm going to find the center. Then, so I'm going to come in 1 1/4 inches from there. From the end, 1 1/4, 1 1/4. So I'm just finding the center of that space. All right, so these are my tick marks where I'm going to poke the holes. So I'm going to get my pokey tool, this retractable pokey tool, and I'm going to go ahead and poke. Now when I poke, I used to use the mat to poke, but I find I get a straighter hole doing it this way. So I'm going to pretty much fold the notebook after I put the pokey tool on my little tick mark where I want to punch the hole or poke the hole, and push it through. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to do all 5 holes the same way. See, I'm lining it up with where I placed my mark and then pushing through. This paper is fairly thick, so it takes a little strength to do it. I don't want to bend it up, but I'm bending it up. Try not to bend your paper, and be careful not to poke yourself. Okay. And then here we go. There we go. All right. So I got my 5 holes. So then I'm going to take this thread. This is a cotton thread that came with a binding kit that I bought on Amazon, and I rarely use this because it's so thin. But I think for a planner type situation that it's good. So I'm using 3 lengths of this, maybe slightly more, give myself some wiggle room. And then I'm going to use a fairly big needle, but with a small eye. Let's see. So here's my little pin cushion. So I think this one will be fine. If you have a bigger eye, it's going to be more difficult to go through the hole. I had some upholstery needles that I found at Family Dollar years ago. I used those for the longest time. I'm not sure where this particular needle came from, but that's what it looks like. There are bookbinding kits on Amazon, and I'll link to one like mine or mine if I can find it on Amazon. It will be an affiliate link, so I will earn a small commission if you use my link. And I hope all of my pages are going in the right direction. I did check them previously, but I don't think I moved anything or changed anything, but just make note so that I don't have to redo it. All right, so if you want your tails to be on the inside, start on the inside. If you want your tails to be on the outside, start on the outside. I'm going to start on the inside. So I'm going to go through the middle hole. Okay. I think I got my page dirty. Then I'm going to go through either the top or bottom, whichever one, the next hole next to it. You're kind of like going in and out, in and out. So it's like a, kind of like a figure eight, but an extended figure eight. So then I'm going to go out the next hole. Okay. Make sure you don't pull it all the way through, and don't pull too tight, because if you pull too tight, you can rip your paper. And I'm going to go back into the previous hole and try not to split the thread. If you split your thread, you won't be able to tighten it. Then I'm going to go all the way down. So I'm going to skip the middle hole and go down to the next hole. So skip where the tail is and go to the next hole. I'm going to go out, then back in the hole next to it where we haven't been already. And the key is to make sure that the pages don't move. So that's a reason to use the paper clips. You can use binder clips, because when you try to put your needle through the hole, if the pages have moved, it's going to be really difficult. All right, so we're back on the inside. I'm going to go back to the hole next to me, to where I was or where I am, and go back out, making sure not to split the thread. And then finally, we're going to make our way back into that middle hole where we started. Again, trying not to split the thread that is already there. This is usually where I end up splitting threads. Let's take this out and make sure. So I'm going to pull this one over to the side, out of the way, and hopefully I can get through here without an issue. Let's see. All right. So before I remove the needle, let's make sure we didn't split anything. And if you split the thread, you'll be able to tell. If your needle goes through the middle of an existing thread, you won't be able to pull the strings the way you need to. So I'm going to put that back in my pin cushion. And now I'm going to try and straighten out the threads, even them out. So you kind of have to adjust carefully if you know how to do it. Kind of fiddle around with it until you get everything where you want it. And again, if you have split the threads, you won't be able to do what I'm doing here by moving everything around. All right, so we've got everything tight, pretty tight. Okay. Again, don't pull too tight, because if you do, you'll rip the paper, especially with a thinner thread like this. If you use something heavier, like a baker's twine or a wax linen thread, you're less likely to tear the paper, but it can still happen. All right, so you want the strings to be really, really tight. So kind of like guitar strings on the outside, maybe. That one's a little loose, so I need to tighten that up. And you also, on the inside, this longer thread here, you want your strings to be on either side of that. So you want one on this side of the thread, one on that side. Let's check again. I think that's pretty good. This is another reason why I don't use this thread that often, because it's really difficult to get it tight. With the waxed linen thread, you can get it tight easily, because it just slides through the paper and you don't really have to worry as much about it. All right, so I'm going to call that good. Then I'm going to knot it. Do a double knot. You can do a triple knot. I'm going to do a triple knot. You can add a little bit of glue right there. Snip these short if you want. Leave them long. Make a dangle. I'm going to tie them in a bow for now, until I decide how I want to handle them. And then take off my clips. and that is my notebook. Now, you can always cover this up as well. You could put, in junk journaling, we would put some lace or fabric or something over it. You could actually put a sticker that wraps around over it here, or just leave it. You could use it to weave something in and out of. It just depends on what you want to do. All right, so I'm just going to take my bone folder and press that down a little bit more. And here we go. So we got a notebook for the whole year of monthly calendars, and in between the calendars is dot grid paper. So there is another version of this on my Patreon that is just back-to-back calendars, but I always like to do one where there's room in between the months so that you can do whatever you need to do. If you want to have note pages or whatever the case may be. It also would allow you to add your weekly inserts or your daily inserts in between, depending on what type of system you're using. So if you're using discs or rings, you could easily add pages in between the months and build your own planner. So that's another benefit of having these separated pages. So, but that is how it turned out. Very nice, neat. Figure out what to do with those strings later. And yeah. Hopefully I had all my pages in order. I did double check, but you just go through and refold those pages. And that is a whole set of monthlies for 2024. Bound and ready to go. All right. And then I can decorate the cover however I see fit with stickers, add a whole other cover. I could put it in a clear sleeve, any number of things. Okay, so that is it. That is how you can make a notebook. You can bind it with staples, or you can stitch it. This is the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. There's also a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Your choice, depending on the size of the notebook and how many pages. It's fairly simple to do, doesn't require anything fancy. I'll link to everything that I can in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you have ever bound your own notebook or journal, and if so, how did you do it? Let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and you may be interested in this other video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.